and introduce to you our speaker tonight. Our guest is Diane Neff, and she's been in education for almost 31 years, working in various capacities. She started working with gifted students in her classroom back in 2005 when she centered her master's thesis around how to keep gifted students engaged due to the many of her students underachieving and claiming boredom. And in 2016, Diane began working as the gifted facilitator at Odyssey Elementary, while she was also working with the high achieving students in reading. And this solidified her love for gifted education, has led to her working as the gifted education specialist in 2021. And now, for the past 2 years, her work as gifted coordinator for El Paso School District 49, Falcon. Tonight, she joins us with the many benefits of district-wide after-school enrichments, camps, and field trips for our gifted population. It's not just about the schools anymore. And as you have questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat, and we'll field them back to Diane after she's done with the presentation. So welcome, Diane. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks, Mark, and thank you so much for having me. Our district has a very special relationship with Mark Hess. He comes to our district several times throughout the year to do some professional development for us in creativity and nonverbal abilities, and our district just loves having him, and it's kind of like a second home. So thank you so much, Mark.
It is definitely like a second home. I love coming to Falcon.
Um, as he said, my name is Diane Neff, and I'm the coordinator of gifted education for School District 49. And I am here to talk to you about the benefits of district-wide programming rather than just at the schools. I'm going to give you a little bit of background knowledge from our school district. Over the past 7 years, we've had probably three coordinators. And then with COVID on top of that, we needed to get back into what was really going on in the schools in our district, all of that kind of stuff. District 49 is a zone of innovation school district. That means that we have 4 different zones. Each of those zones have their own strengths, their own ideas, their own pathways, and each focus is slightly different. So I want you to think about this. We have one zone that is our charter zone, basically. We do have a couple of non-traditional district-led schools in that zone as well, but it is mostly charter schools. And most of those schools have a full-time facilitator for their gifted students. We have another zone that's pretty far along in the gifted programming. They've had gifted facilitators in each of their schools for probably 8 or 9 years. Most of them are full-time, a couple of them are part-time, but they're farther along in the pathway. However, we do have 2 school zones that are only recently getting facilitators just for gifted students. One of them historically has been using instructional coaches to help their gifted population. And another one has had a little bit of a hodgepodge of, some of them were classroom teachers, some of them were CLDE teachers, some of them were in fact instructional coaches as well. So if you can imagine our gifted population, they've been getting different programming depending on where they live or what school they go to. The high schools, I'm going to give you a little bit of history as well. At each of we have 3 district-led high schools, and for the longest time, counselors were facilitating our gifted education. And as you know, counselors have a lot on their plates. So the kids were basically getting a form to fill out each year, and then that was about it. So last year we were able to get a halftime facilitator in 2 of our district-led schools. That led to more IDs, that led to more relationship building, that led to more programming within those 2 schools, which actually led to the kids wanting more and more and more. So the good news is next year, 2024-25, we actually will have more of that going on. So with this need to basically make it more equitable across the district, because as I said, there were some zones that were getting a lot of programming, a lot of time with their students, and there were other schools that were not getting a lot. And we kind of started small a few years ago, probably 5 or 6 years ago, we were doing camps in the summertime. Those would be maybe the kids would go to Challenger Learning Center for a week, or maybe they would get to go to Escape the Place for a couple days, or we might even bring science camps to Creekside Success Center, which is one of our central offices for the district. At that time, we were running 3 different camps at once. We were looking at the K through 2, 3rd through 5th graders, and then the 6th through 9th graders. It was all at the same time, which management-wise could have been a little crazy. And it was a first come, first serve basis. So the first ones to sign up were the first ones to get it. Which, as we all know, like if you're a stay-at-home mom, you're able to get signed up pretty quickly most of the time. But if you're a working parent, not so much. So it was kind of the same kids going to the camps every single time. So with our schedule, as Mark had mentioned, we're a modified year-round schedule. What we get is after every quarter, we get a 2-week break, and then we have a 2-month summer. So it's still where they get those nice breaks, but it's just more often. So we moved to having our different grade levels for each break, as well as different venues. So for instance, when we first did it, we had K through 2 fall break, 3rd through 5th spring break, and then 6th through 9th over summer break. We've modified that a little bit due to the fact that we do want to mix it up. But with that, we also looked at our region and where we live. And we have so many amazing things going on in the Pikes Peak region and Denver. And Denver really, for a camp, is not that far away. So during those breaks, instead of having the kids all go to one place for the entire week, we decided to go to different venues around the Pikes Peak region in Denver. So for instance, the kindergarten through 2nd graders might go to Cheyenne Mountain Zoo one day, and then they would go to Cave of the Winds another day, and then they would go to the Mining Museum in Monument, or this next one coming up, they're going to be going to the Dinosaur Museum in Woodland Park. We also changed it to where the parents had a certain amount of time to sign them up. So usually the parents now get about 2 weeks to sign them up. And at the end of that 2 weeks, we do a raffle to see who's going to go. And that's made it more equitable in that way as well. So then we were also talking about doing after school enrichments, because truly in the summer camps, we can take about 60 kids for each camp. That means we can do 60 K through 2, 60 3rd through 5th, and 60 6th through 9th graders. Well, this year we have a lot more, but up until now we've had about 1,200 kids. So really that's only serving 180 students at a time. So we were starting to think about, okay, so what are some things that we can do after school as well that can be offered to the entire district? So I saw on a website, I saw something about the National Inventors Hall of Fame. So I reached out to the amazing Patty Vale to see if she knew anything about it, and she did. We met with the vendor, and it's pretty easy, and the kids love it. They're kits that are STEM related. They have all the way from kindergarten until 9th grade. Last year we got 5 of them. So we offered 5 after school enrichments for the different grade levels. The teachers signed up for them. The kits are amazing because they have absolutely everything in there. They have the scissors that you need. They have the tape that you need. They have all of the resources in one baggie that you can just give to the kids. And they also have the lesson plans that you can get online. Everything is there and it's ready to go. So for those teachers who've been teaching all day and then they need to do this, it makes it a lot easier for them, and the kids absolutely love it. With these two, the camps and the after school enrichments, we did a lot of surveys. We surveyed a lot. At first we would only do a beginning of the year survey, and we really didn't get a lot out of that. So then we decided to start doing a survey after each activity to see what they liked about it, what they didn't like about it, if they had other ideas, so on and so forth. Then this year, we actually did 4. We did 1 per quarter, and the parents were really kind of getting a little bit of survey fatigue. So with that, we asked, hey, are we giving you too many surveys? So then next year, it's going to go to 1 in the middle of the year and 1 in the end of the year. So hopefully that will help with the survey fatigue, and we will again get more parents who are participating. What we've learned so far on that is that both parents and students want more. They want more kids to be able to go to camps. They want more after school enrichments. They want a bigger variety. They love the STEM packets that we've been doing, the STEM kits that we've been doing, but they also want to reach a lot of the kids' interests. We also learned that transportation can be an issue. That first year that we did the venues, we were having the parents take the kids to and from each venue. That was right after COVID, and I'm sure this was the same as everybody. We all had a bus shortage. We had a shortage of people who were able to drive those buses. So through those surveys, we learned that the parents were really having a hard time because, first of all, the field trips would be at different times throughout the day. So sometimes they had to get the kids to Cheyenne Mountain at 9 a.m., but another day they had to get the kids to the mining museum at 8:30. So we were able to look at that, and now transportation is no longer an issue. And the great thing is they came up with new ideas all the time. We were constantly getting, oh, you guys should try this or you should try that. It was really great. So with those surveys, we were able to dig deep. We were able to learn that, kids loved chess. So we were trying to get some chess activities in there. One of our teachers is a chimes. She does chimes all the time. So we were able to get her some chimes. And so she has an after school enrichment on that. One of our teachers loves poetry and was a language arts teacher. So she, is able to do a poetry class. And then the parents also wanted high school field trips. So that was with the more programming, they wanted more. So they talked about how it would be nice if their kids could actually go on field trips just as a high school. I'm showing you this video because I want you to really think about what students like. That's one of the biggest things for these enrichment activities and the camp activities. When you're watching this, you'll see that they are college students, which is a little bit older, but it goes all the way, that idea goes all the way back down to kindergarten. There also is one kid who talks about wanting to go to a pub, but we're just going to get past that and think about the rest of the hobbies and interests that they're interested in.
I like painting. I like going to see art galleries.
The gym, bodybuilding, football.
I do kayaking. So in the society at uni.
I love football. And well, hobbies and interests, just hanging out in Kingston, going out, having a laugh with my mates.
Architecture and traveling around the world, seeing different places with old and new architecture.
I enjoy shopping, eating, dancing and singing and acting as well. Probably like the socializing and trying to getting away from, worries and stress, stuff like that.
Celebrating after a hard day's work with a pint in the pub with your mates. It's the best thing, really.
I like block boxing, go to the gym, going out, being social.
Mainly outdoor sports like snowboarding, mountain biking, skateboarding, sort of stuff. Being outdoors, being with my mates, the thrill, the adventure.
Play basketball regularly, go to the gym, and I'm in a band playing guitar. Just sort of writing music, and you get like a real kick out of it, and it's a real feel-good factor you get from it.
I do like reading and poetry and like those poetry clubs. They're really interesting. I love writing, so anything I can put on paper or listen to creative stuff is really interesting.
Hobbies, I like football. I like seeing friends, just relaxing, chilling out. gaining my energy back. And everyone likes relaxing, don't they? It's about getting time to do it.
I do fine art at uni, so a lot of it involves looking into ceramic techniques and stuff like that, which I try and do in my spare time. So like I'm trying to source like a pottery wheel. So yeah, ceramics, I guess.
I'm a semi-professional footballer. Play for Hoddesdon Town Football Club. Playing defence there. I've got I'm a massive follower of hip hop music. Anything. I don't listen to any other music apart from hip hop. And hobbies, just going on the internet, Facebook, Twitter. I like, chatting to friends, following celebrities around Twitter.
I'm a very theatrical person, so anything to do with creative arts, basically, and shopping.
Sorry. Okay. So really what I wanted you to get out of that was that each of those students not only had different interests than the rest of the students, but within themselves, they all had different interests. The one kiddo who wants to do soccer, but also loves hip hop, and the other who loves to read, but also wants to write, with those language arts. Those are just all things that we should be thinking about when we really start creating these after school enrichments and the camp activities. Another thing that we have started doing in our school district are district fairs. We had our first one last year, and in District 49, their ALPs are truly strength and interest based. That means you take what they're ID'd in and then what they're interested in, and you try to tailor their ALP to that. For instance, one of my fifth graders a few years ago, he was ID'd in math, but he loved soccer. So he decided for his advanced learning plan that he was going to create a soccer field that had fractional units to it. He created that soccer field, which then meant he had to create a whole new rule system for the game. He was able to teach it to his PE class. The PE teacher videotaped it for him, and then he was able to share that out as his advanced learning project. Another one of my students wanted to be a teacher, so she actually was able to go into some kindergarten and second grade classrooms throughout the years and actually teach some lessons, and she had to do all the research on it and all of that. With that, it's K through 12. So each school tries to do their own gifted fair. So then what we decided to do was to have students from each of those gifted fairs come and do a district fair. I believe I said already that last year we probably had, 8 schools attend, maybe 9. This year we have about 80% of our schools who are participating. We have almost all of our district-led schools, and then the majority of the charter schools are also going to be attending. It's going to be May 21st, and they're very excited to share. The kids love it. The parents love it. They get to see what's going on in other schools. This year, our Parent Advisory Council will be able to attend so they can help out as well. And then next year, we're looking at doing a district-wide art fair as well. So, and that will help with identification in the art areas. Some of the added benefits of these district-wide activities are, again, it makes those activities equitable across the district. Students love being around other kids that think like them. With that, they learn that they are not alone, that there's other kids that are just like them. They learn to work together. They learn to interact with new and different peers. That means that not just the kids that they see on a daily basis. They learn to meet somebody new, and then they can work with them. They stay engaged due to the choice and voice. We have so many activities now that they're able to really choose what they want to do. And then they also know that we're going to ask them later on, hey, did you like this? Do you want to do more? When taking into account those likes and dislikes, it just really makes that difference. It really makes the kids want to be there. With that equitable activities across the district, we're able to serve so many more students. With camp, again, we're able to serve about 60 kids per camp. The parents want more, so next year we're going to try and do more. But with the after school enrichments, we're able to serve 15 to 30 kids, depending on how many teachers are facilitating. And we can facilitate between 4 and 9 classes per quarter. So at the beginning, the first quarter, I think we had 3 classes. This last quarter, we had 9 classes going between chess and between poetry club and chimes and art and the STEM, we had a robotic pet vet going, which was one of the STEM classes. These pictures are, you'll see chess, that's some of our kids at the chess club. And then the one down here is one of the high school field trips that the kids went on. They are very creative, and we asked them and they wanted to do paintings. So we took them to Brush Crazy and they were able to each do a painting. They were able to have some pizza. They got to hang out and just be creative, and it was amazing. Somebody was asking where these resources come from. One of the big things we do is we really truly align those teachers' interests with the students' interests. They are stipend positions, but we make sure that the teachers want to work with those kiddos. I talked about the poetry club earlier. One of our teachers who did that, she was actually a language arts teacher before. So she helped the quarter before, she helped another teacher do a book club for the high school students, and they read, the Ballad of Songbirds and Songbirds and Saints, I'm sorry. And they were able to not only read it, but they had some really great activities going along with it, incorporating robotics and art and stuff. And then they were able to watch part of the movie in the very last class, but they loved it. The teachers loved it because that is part of their passion. They love to work with kids in language arts. Again, I mentioned the art class earlier. We actually had one of our art teachers was the one who was providing art class for the 4 quarters. And he was looking at different ways of doing art, different models and stuff like that. We do use our 3150 funding. That's what we use for our after school enrichments and summer camps. But there are also grants that are offered both through the district and the state. With title grants, you have to be really careful because you have to make sure that you're supplementing and not supplanting. So those are a little bit trickier to use. But I know that some schools around the area do use donations as well. So if you can get some of those donations, that's great. All of ours are free to the students, but I do know that there are also some districts that charge. So if that's something that you need to do as well. And are there any questions?
So please, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the chat. I've got a couple questions to get us started. Diane, do you know, it was interesting, the National Inventors Kits. Is that something too that parents can do at home? Are those kits accessible for homeschool and just enrichment at home?
I believe they are. I know that we buy bulk because we buy for 30 students, but I think you can buy less than that. I know that a lot of our students, with whatever's left over, they do take them home. I had a parent telling me last night that they take them home and they use the rest of the resources to do other stuff with them. But I can, whoever wants to know, I can find out, I can get the name of my contact and they can be in contact with them as well. So.
Okay. And will you share your email or contact information before we're done? Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
So once upon a time, the Pikes Peak region used to have a robust Saturday programming for gifted kids all throughout the region. It was very, very popular.
Oh.
Have you considered doing Saturday classes?
I have not, but that's a great idea. If we could do it with our region, that would be amazing. And that might be something that I can talk to my lead team about doing. Did they do them every Saturday, or was it just like one Saturday a month or something?
It was hosted by one of the colleges in town, and it was 6 consecutive Saturdays in the fall and then 6 consecutive Saturdays in the spring. And it was very, very popular. I used to teach in it all the time. I was just curious. And I think that it fulfilled a real need for gifted kids in the region, just like you're doing. I mean, they can't get enough of it, right?
Right, exactly.
And yeah, and it really does equalize opportunities, like you were saying. It makes so many enrichment activities accessible. But anyway, just a thought or a question. Can
I
you
like
tell me
that.
a little bit more about your district fair? I know you gave a presentation last year at the State Gifted Conference about more details about that. But I was curious, is that students showing individual projects? Is this like group projects? Is it, hey, this is what we did? Is it a school showcase, or is it more like an individual showcase? Could you just tell us a little bit more about your district fair?
So the district fair is a little bit of everything. So for instance, this year, um, I do have a couple of schools that have a couple of the kids who are going to be presenting together. For the most part, it is an individual ALP, where the student shares what they've done throughout the year. Like I said, last year we had about eight schools participate, 9 schools participate. This time, I think it's more like, don't quote me, but I think it's more like 22 schools participating. And in that they are showcasing what their kids are doing, they've chosen the top ones from their specific fair. The kids, it looks a lot like a science fair, but it's not just science. It can be art, it can be there was one of our kiddos who wanted to study microbiology last year. So she did a Google slideshow on microbiology and she explained that. There was another kid from Falcon Middle School who actually won a contest on from a kitchen magazine. I can't remember what the magazine was, but she created one of those carriers that were from the olden days where, you know, they would open it up in the kitchen, they would put the food in and then it would go up. And then, so she made one, she invented one that would go throughout the entire house. So it was kind of cool. And they're just stuff like that. Another kiddo was completely into sports and shoes. And so he created, out of cardboard, he created every single Nike shoe, the star ones, the really expensive ones. He created those out of cardboard, and then he talked about how much they would all cost if you paid for it. So it's really more on the individual students, but the schools are getting showcased in that they're there and they're showing what their kids are doing. Does that make sense?
Yes, and what really makes sense as a parent, when my kid's asking for Nike shoes, I'll just suggest that they make them out of cardboard.
See, exactly. Especially when I think one of the pairs of shoes was $25,000 if you bought it or something.
Oh, yeah. So just a little bit of clarification, just in case people are listening from all over, which they will eventually. ALPs, it refers to Advanced Learning Plans in Colorado. It's part of statute and rule in Colorado that all gifted learners have an advanced learning plan. I would sort of equate it to an individual education plan in special education. And so Diane mentioned a couple times ALPs, and I had the last question, a follow-up on that. You mentioned that sometimes that the field trips or the opportunities are connected with ALPs, with advanced learning plans. Does that happen kind of after the fact? Does a kid get excited about it and say, I really want to do this more? Or is it something that's a little bit more intentional? It's like, I'm going to do my ALP and then I'm going to make experience a part of it, or maybe a little bit of both.
So are you talking about the field trips that the kids are going on? Is that?
Yeah, I think that's when you were mentioning it. Sometimes they're connected with the ALPs.
Okay. So really what the field trips and everything are more connected with their interests than their advanced learning plans. But I can tell you, I did have a student who wanted to learn about wolves, and we do have the wolf center up in Divide, I think, on the way there. So that was one where we were able to look at that interest, and more kids were interested in it. So we were able to go up to the Wolf Center, the Wolf and Wildlife Center. Most of the time, if they want to connect it directly to their ALPs, then it's something that they have to do with their parents. So I think I misspoke on that one. But the field trips and the after school enrichments are more of just what they're interested in directly. It's not necessarily around their advanced learning plans, but sometimes it is a happy accident.
Yeah, any happy accident we'll take, right?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Well, I want to thank you so much for being with us and for doing this for Colorado Gifted. I think this is going to be one of those sessions that a lot of gifted resource teachers or district level facilitators will watch later on and come back to. And I hope we get some parents watching and looking for enrichment opportunities or thoughts maybe that they haven't had for their own kids that they can do on their own. But thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for that Saturday idea. That's something I'm going to go back and talk to my lead team about. I like that. So
yeah, I think that would be fantastic. And maybe some other schools in the region or regions around the state or country get interested and get motivated to do something like that too. It would be wonderful.
No, for sure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you again.